Nano Machine by Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 473. TP. Part 1. Beep beep beep. Beep beep beep. It was the moment when the mechanical bracelet on Chun Musong's wrist rang. Startle. This? Chun Yowan, who had become more sensitive to the circulation of qi after realizing the flow of energy in nature, was startled. Foreign energy engulfed the surroundings to the extent that it completely reversed the natural flow of qi. Whoa! The space distorted, and something appeared. The forms were dyed in the bright light behind them. His descendant, Chun Musong, urgently sent a telepathic message. Ancestor! Please release me. Thud. Fell. Even if he hadn't asked to be released, Chun Yowan released him the moment he sensed the foreign energy. When the restraint on his body was released, Chun Musong hurriedly tried to grab something out of his bag. It was then. Four people, covered in bright light, pointed something that was in their hands and aimed. Then something fierce was released. Push! The fired object spread around and nailed into the ground in four directions, exactly 10 feet away. Space-time canceller has been activated. What? Along with Nano's voice, strong energy rose from the small machines, which were embedded in four directions. Chi 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 chi. It was as if they were cut off from the outside. The circulation of qi was completely blocked. What is this? A new space has been formed, which excludes all actions that may interfere with time and space. He didn't understand what it meant, but he had to find out soon. The beeping sound kept ringing from the device that Chun Musong had halfway taken out of his bag. Beep. 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 Warning. 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 Damn it. Chun Musong ended up cursing. He tried to jump through space and time using the time sphere, but he was too late. Frustrated, he looked at the figures who were still in the light. Strong energy was condensing on the unique sticks aimed at them by the men who surrounded them. One of them exclaimed, "Freeze! You're under arrest." The moment he heard those words, Chun Musong raised his hands to the sky. At first, Chun Yowan was puzzled, but soon found out that the language wasn't Chinese but English. This one. Was he being chased by these guys? It seemed like the reason Chun Musong was nervous was them. Regardless of the age, it wasn't misunderstood. The act of raising both hands clearly meant surrender. Hey! You! Freeze! At that moment, one of the people in the light shouted at Chun Yowan. He had already mastered English with the help of Nano, so there was no way he couldn't understand that. You over there. Did he just speak to me without respect? Chun Yowan was pissed. Chun Musong, who noticed that Chun Yowan was upset, hurriedly spoke to the one in the light. This man of this age has nothing to do with me. What are? Ancestor. Just hold on for a second. If you taunt them, they will search your body and take away the nano machine. Take away Nano? Surely, that was impossible. The 7th generation nano machine was made of gadolinium, which couldn't be tracked or detected. But there was an if. If they found any traces of Nano, it was impossible to know how they would react. To solve this problem without a fight, I need to prove that my ancestor is an ordinary civilian of this age. At that moment, Chun Yowan asked, "Why the hell are they glaring at me?" It was briefly explained by Chun Musong. TP. Time Patrol. Time Patrol? Ugh, in this era, they are like guards or watchmen. Before Chun Musong could explain, one person from the Time Patrol moved closer and spoke. Chinese? Are you Chinese? They were speaking in English, then they suddenly spoke Chinese. They seemed skillful. I will scan for identification. Beep. With those words, the person brought out a small machine in front of Chun Mu-sung, and then a red line ran across him from head to toe. And a voice came out of the machine. Identity number, Chi Edu 9483294-319. Search number records. Name, Chun Mu-sung. Born, AD year. November 3, 2914. Residency, Guangxi. XXX City. New Development District. Sky Corporation's District D Office Building. Occupation, Director of the Sky Corporation. Hearing all the information coming from the machine, a grunting sound could be heard from the person. This is huge. Whoa. As soon as the scan was done, the light around their bodies soon subsided. As the light subsided, their bodies, which were dressed in unique clothes like Chun Mu-sung, except that they all had gray clothes with star and moon patterns engraved on their chests, were visible. SRRR. Soon, the one in front of Chun Mu-sung, his head moved. No, it was similar to the helmet of Chun Yo-won's gadolinium nano suit being removed. This. Chun Yo-won's eyes lit up. The only man who took off the helmet was blonde with blue eyes, who seemed to be in his 40s. He looked at Chun Mu-sung with interest and said, "I wondered what kind of a criminal we were still chasing after despite the constant pursuit and several near misses. For that person to be Director Chun, this has to be fucking messed up." At that, Chun Mu-sung bowed his head without saying anything. "You are well aware that unauthorized time travel and manipulation of the past are the worst felonies and are punishable by life imprisonment and even death, right?" Pull. The blonde pulled out a silver sphere. Then, Chun Mu-sung put his hands together and brought them to the front, and the man placed the sphere on his wrist. Cha-cha. Miraculously, the silver sphere turned into handcuffs. "You are being placed under arrest without a warrant under Article 35 of EU.TP Criminal Code as a current offender of crimes of unauthorized time travel and time manipulation. It is stated in advance that the EU.TP criminal law cannot claim admissibility for the arrest. If you have an excuse, say it now." "Detective, this person has nothing to do with me." "Even so, those in contact are unconditionally put under the EU.TP criminal law as long as they come in contact with us. So, let's not fool each other anymore. Mr. Chun. This was an accident." Before he could even finish speaking, electricity flowed out of the handcuffs he was wearing. Crackle. Kuok. His whole body convulsed and collapsed. The man waved his index finger left to right, and Chun Mu-sung was screaming, "TCH, TCH, don't do anything stupid. Director Chun. Have you seen the movie series 008? We also have the license to kill. Rebellion can result in immediate execution under the EU.TP criminal law." The man said that he could kill Chun Mu-sung at any time, and one person of the Time Patrol approached Chun Yo-won. Then he pulled out a strange silver stick device and pointed it at Chun Yo-won. When Chun Mu-sung saw that, he was startled and tried to speak telepathically. "Ancestor. Quack. Ack." At that moment, the blonde trampled on his neck. "Since you are Chinese, I thought that there might be another means of communication. But man, what was that?" If you use those techniques, well, I guess your excuse about not knowing that man isn't valid anymore, right? Kuok. Whoa. The helmet closed again. He nodded his head after he covered Chun Mu-sung's eyes with his hand. Then, the one holding the silver stick in front of Chun Yo-won spoke in the Jianghu's language. "Okay, now. Look here." Flash. A dazzling flash erupted from the tip of the stick. "Damn it." A harsh sound came out of the mouth of Chun Mu-sung, whose eyes were covered. He was well aware of the Time Patrol's device to erase memories. It was a device used by the state secret agents as well, and he was told that the light and the small sound that flows and affects the brain's memories. And it also allows one to manipulate memories along with erasing them. The machine was called Man in White. The voice of the Time Patrol officer dealing with Chen Youwon could be heard by Chun Musong. Man. Now you have never seen the man lying there or us. It was fine so far. Because memories of this moment were the only ones removed. It would be great if that was all, but there was no way that the Time Patrol would be so lax. Any memories of that man will disappear. All your memories will go back to the time before you met him. No. This was the worst outcome. If that happens, then Chen Youwon's memories will go back to before he injected the nano machine. Chun Musong, who heard that, wanted to interfere, but, kook. Cough. Cough. The blonde had stepped on his neck, so he couldn't even scream, let alone move. One more flash of the device will end everything. The man lifted the Man in White and tried to use it again. It was then. What? He wanted to lift the device. Crack. Thud. The device fell to the floor. And it wasn't just the device. Arm? My arm. At the word arm, Chun Musong had no choice but to doubt what he just heard. Did his ancestor just cut off the arm of a Time Patrol officer? Clench. Cuck. Their suit automatically stopped the bleeding after their arm was cut off, but then the person's neck was caught. Shocked, the other Time Patrol officers raised their weapons and aimed for Chen Youwon. Freeze. Don't hold back. If he moves, shoot. With that, red dots began to appear on Chen Youwon's body. There was a strange energy in the red light. All the firearms are focused on the user. Would you like to activate the gadolinium nanosuit? No. It's okay for now. The weapons looked dangerous, but from the information that Nano relayed to him, there was no need to open the nanosuit. At that time, the leader of this Time Patrol unit, the one who was pressing on the neck of Chun Musong, shouted in a bewildered voice. Damn it. That man must be a martial artist. If he moves even a little, shoot him. Hearing that command, Chun Musong trembled. These guys have figured it out. Under normal circumstances, no matter how life-threatening the situation was, the Time Patrol would never attack people from the past. However, just now, a shooting order was issued. The Time Patrol knew how dangerous the command was. It would change history. This meant that they knew a time paradox had occurred, and the future had been divided into several time axes. At that time, Chen Youwon opened his mouth, directing his words to the Time Patrol officers. I don't know who you people are. But there is one thing I am certain about. You guys have started the fight. From now on, anyone who moves even a little will die. One of the Time Patrol officers who heard Chen Youwon shouted. What? You crazy bastard. So what if you learned martial arts? You will die if I shoot. And then he tried to shoot. The one next to him was shocked and tried to stop him, but to no avail. Wait. James is still in his hands. I don't care. And he's wearing a suit. And he fired the gun in his hand. Do-do-da-dud. The number of bullets continued to decrease on the screen next to the gun. A little over 100 bullets were consumed in an instant. The martial artist should be dead by this point, so he stopped, but, yeah, what is? Float. All the bullets were suspended mid-air. All 100 bullets were floating. He was at a loss for words, but Chen Youwon simply raised his index finger towards him. And, swoosh. Papa-papa-pack. Quack. In an instant, more than 100 bullets stopped in the air and then flew back towards their owner and pierced their suit. All the others were shocked. No way. Boo bulletproof suit? The suits they were all wearing were bulletproof, and one of those suits just got pierced right in front of their eyes. So, this is martial arts? This wasn't the martial arts they knew. To those who were perplexed, Chen Youwen spoke in a cold voice. Try moving again, okay? Chapter 474. TP. Part 2. The reason why the people of the Time Patrol were shocked was pretty easy to understand. The martial artists they knew were people who could at times go beyond human limits by honing their skills. And it was a great task. Those martial artists could perform things without even wearing a suit like the Time Patrol. However, despite them exceeding the human limit and being dangerous, it wasn't a level that could surpass science and technology. It makes no sense. The M320 has no recoil, fires bullets at a speed of 1,200 meters per second, and the kinetic energy of each bullet reaches 350 m/kp superscript 1, but to get blocked from this distance. Some martial artists could block and dodge the bullets, but the number was very few. Even the most talented martial artists couldn't stop a bullet fired from just 15 steps away. And martial artists, who have excellent eyesight and speed, prefer to avoid attacks. However, this was correct unless the M320 was equipped with an AI chip that has an automatic lock-on. You, what are you? This man was different from the martial artists they knew. It was a shock to the TP, who had never been in direct contact with a martial artist. But there was one person who was even more terrified. It was Chen Musom. This is trouble. When he saw the TP officer get killed by Chen Youwen, he judged that the situation had turned to the worst. Chen Musom called out to Chen Youwen. Ancestor, please run. Hack. Cough. The leader of the TP unit quickly stepped on his neck. Then, without making a sound, the TP suits began to transform. SRRR. The suits, which became more agile than the previous form, trembled. Chen Youwen, who looked at the change, frowned. He listened to what his descendants said and trusted Nano, which always detected sounds on different frequencies. The Great Gate? They were talking amongst themselves, without actually speaking out loud. Nano referred to their conversation as simple communication. SRRR. At that moment, 19 TP officers who were surrounding Chen Youwen disappeared. It wasn't because they moved quickly. They literally turned invisible. I'm surprised, but now I will assume that you aren't human and deal with you right here. Mark, the leader of the TP unit, abandoned the idea of treating Chen Youwen as a normal man. Blocking the bullets was strange, but if he remembered the Great Gate battle, this looked normal. Mark immediately communicated with the one called James, whose neck was being held by Chen Youwen. James. Get away from him with an electromagnetic wave. As soon as the words came out, the one called James pressed his right palm with the thumb of his left hand. Patch chick. A dazzling electromagnetic wave erupted from his suit. It could generate a voltage strong enough to knock out even a huge brown bear in an instant. And the TP were aiming for that instant. But... Huh? Despite the electromagnetic wave, Chen Youwen didn't budge. James couldn't hide his shock. This is crazy. How can he stand still with 1,000 volts running through his body? The man didn't feel electrocuted. Chen Youwen shook his head and spoke to James. You need to be at my level to avoid getting shocked. What? It was then. Patch chick. Quiet. An incomparable thunder chi just happened to unfold in Chen Youwen's hand. With a flash of lightning, James, who got electrocuted, screamed frantically. Even the suit's insulation function was useless. Spark. Spark. Error. 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 James' suit, which couldn't withstand the lightning, was broken. As his face turned black, it looked like he was on the verge of death, making one TP officer fire his gun at Chen Yuan's wrist. Bang! Suddenly, a bullet was released. With great speed, the bullet moved, but Chen Yuan could sense it. Chen Yuan stretched out his left hand and unfolded a veil of energy, trying to block the bullet like before. Bang! As expected, the bullet hit the veil as if it was blocked. But then something happened. Whoa! Patch check. The bullet that hit the veil pierced it. Chen Yuan hurriedly stopped releasing his energy, which the bullet just pierced, and pushed the man he was holding forward. Bang! The bullet missed and pierced the ground. The hole it made was the size of a fist. It broke through the wall? Chen Yuan frowned. The bullet, which just came for him, had considerable power. Perhaps because of its force and gunpowder, it seemed completely different. The bullet had great energy, seeing how it tore past the energy veil. That was an ultra-vibrating bullet. The kinetic energy is amplified with tremendous frequency, and it dismantles any energy shield. Chen Yuan's eyes lit up with Nano words. Apparently, the TP didn't show all their abilities. But the TP officers were shocked too. It barely pierced the shield. Even the ultra-vibrating bullet is weak? It was very difficult to detect the speed of the bullet despite them wearing the suits. Now it didn't seem strange to call it the Great Gate, rather than just a battle between humans. Yes. Let's just think that we are lucky. Their captain, Mark, ordered them. Entire squad, ultra-vibrating bullets. Upon receiving the order, 10 TP men scattered in all directions and opened fire. Bang! 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 Bullets flew in. Unlike the first ones, the next bullets had a slight time difference. Of course, even so, it wasn't a huge difference. It was 1 shot per second. This can't be stopped, was what they thought, but Chen Yuan raised his hand lightly. Cha-cha-chakan. 10 invisible swords sprang up around him, slashing the bullets in half. It all happened at a speed that was invisible to the naked eye. Slash. 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 Two. The bullets fired at Chen Yuan split in half and fell to the floor. Their faces couldn't be seen as they were covered by the suits, but the TP were stunned. This was unbelievable. Even Mark was stunned. What was that? The opaque sword shapes, which suddenly appeared in the air and slashed the bullets. He would have been shocked if Chen Yuan had used one sword and cut them, but this was plain baffling. But even more shocking. The energy of unknown origin in the form of a sword caused an ultra-vibration. He was speechless at the analysis of his AI. According to the AI's analysis, the man just copied their ultra-vibrating bullets. Chen Yuan nodded his head. I learned a good thing. This is more convenient as it consumes less energy than unification and condensing. What? Not just Mark, the other TP officers were shocked. This man really learned their attack. Of course, it was learning. There was a lock on the ultra-vibrating tech inside Nano. When the enemy used it, the lock automatically released, and Nano introduced it into the panel system. Should I maintain the panel system ultra-vibrating the invisible swords? Yes. At Nano's question, Chen Yuan agreed and stretched his hand towards the invisible swords. All 10 of the swords aimed in one direction. What is he up to? The TP officers, who were hiding in stealth mode, were puzzled. I told you to not move. Whoa! Chen Yuan's cold voice made Mark feel scared. It looked like he was trying to release the swords. And if the swords were strong enough to cut down their bullets, then they would be dangerous for them even with their suit's defense at max. We never know, so deploy shield. Before Mark could even finish speaking. Swoosh! The new invisible swords spread out in all directions. Puck. 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 Quack. Ack. Shockingly, the swords pierced the chests of the TP officers who had fired bullets at Chen Youwen previously. As the suits broke, blue flames rose into the air, and they fell to the ground. Thud. Thud. And no way. How can he find us in stealth mode? They didn't know. In the eyes of Chen Youwen, once the augmented reality opens, even those enemies who were in stealth mode would turn visible. Well, even if I can't see, I can feel them. Even if they were invisible, Chen Youwen could recognize their energy. Mark, who thought that they might get killed, yelled. Damn it! Don't stand still. Keep moving. Move. Move. At his command, the surviving TP officers quickly spread out. Perhaps because they were wearing the suit's new form, their movements were faster than master-level martial artists. Squad. Shoot the electron cannon at him. El electron cannon? Sir, he is still human. Does that monster look human to you? The TP officers questioned their captain's orders, but were silent. The moment he cut down an ultra-vibrating bullet, it was confirmed that the man they were facing wasn't human. Start shooting. Roger. Clack. Clack. At his orders, the remaining TP officers pressed something on their guns, and the muzzles turned into an elongated square shape with light blue condensing in them. Goo. Push. With the sound of ripping the air, a blue flash of light flew out from them with great speed. It's a phenomenon in which the electron particles spread out. Even if he can stop those bullets, even if he surpasses humans, this beam. Whoa. Push. Space distorted where the beams moved towards, and then the beams bent. The beams moved in multiple directions. The beams were deflected? Mark's eyes widened. The space around Chen Youwen too had distorted. Space distorted? Chen Youwen, who was aware of the unification and condensing energies through his battle with Arc Wui and the Blade God, could distort space and temporarily bend the beams. I guess experience does matter. Chen Youwen's lips formed into a thin smile. Patchchick. Quack. Ack. Unfortunately, 5 TP officers were hit by the curved beam. As the beam pierced their suits, they died. Now, there were only 5 people left, excluding Mark, who was still stepping on Chen Musong. He isn't human. Yuk. We need to run. These were 2 kinds of behavior that humans showed when they were scared. One is to run, and the other is to rush into the opponent without a plan. Do-da-da-do. 3 TP officers opened fire at Chen Youwen. Although they knew that it wouldn't work, their reasoning was broken. D-die-ee. Swoosh. Their bullets stopped right in front of Chen Youwen. Their deaths were no different from the TP officer who fired first. The bullets stopped and then flew back to hit their owners. Pew-poo-puck. Quack. As the 3 of them fell, something changed. Whoa. Huh? The energy of nature, which had been abnormally blocked, began to circulate naturally again. The space-time canceller has been disabled. This was something that occurred when the 4 devices embedded in 4 directions were dismantled. It seemed like there was a reason why the device was released. One of the 2 TP officers pulled something out from his waist. Weapon? A small and round device. Click. Whoa. When the TP officer pressed the protruding part of the device, the space and body shook along with disappearing. What? He disappeared? Not hidden. Really disappeared. The little round device was a time pack. Chen Youwen's eyes noticed the other TP officer doing the same thing. He immediately stretched out the sword he controlled. Slash. The time pack in their hand was cut in half. Ah. No. The man shouted, bewildered. At the same time, a strong light flashed from the cracked sphere, and it exploded. Quang! Rather than a normal explosion, the space distorted, and then the man's body distorted strangely. Crack! Quack! He suffered a tragic death because of the time pack explosion. Chen Yuan actually felt sorry for the man. As he didn't know anything about the time pack, the problem was that he mistook it for a weapon from the future. Now all that was left was their leader, Mark. Damn it! He cursed. The suit had a stealth function, but it was of no use now. Chen Yuan was staring at him, who was stepping on Chen Musong's neck. Take off that foot. Okay? At Chen Yuan's warning, Mark shouted while aiming the gun at Chen Musong's head. Don't move. If you try to threaten me, even the slightest bit, I will put a hole in his head. He couldn't kill Chen Yuan. The only way out was to use a time pack, but if Chen Yuan interfered, then he wouldn't be able to run away. Don't even move a finger. I saw you move and kill the time patrollers. Just push. Kook. Blood gushed out of Mark's mouth. He couldn't stand the pain his heart was in. Surely the man was standing still, but something had pierced his heart. He didn't even move his fing. He was already falling to the floor. He never dreamed that death would visit him in such a place. Before he knew it, he ended up cursing. Mother Fu, pack. Chen Yuan, who reached him instantly, took the gun from Mark's hand as he fell. Clicking his tongue, he said, "TCH, if you were a filial son to your mother, you shouldn't have ignored my warning." Chapter 475. TP. Part 3. I did it. He used a sword with just his mind for the first time. He was conscious of his fingers, but Chen Yuan thought of piercing the heart in his mind. As a result, he managed to manifest the heart sword. The sword which gets controlled with the heart in an instant. Thud. Chen Yuan looked at the weapon that the TP man had taken out of his pocket before falling down. It was made of some cold metal and was much heavier than he thought. Much heavier than a sword. Did they use this to attack with the same power as before? Among the people, there wasn't a single person who seemed skilled. However, the suits and the weapons which belonged to the future were dangerous enough to annihilate normal martial artists. If they were determined and more vigilant, then they could be somewhere close to the level of superior masters. If hit by the ultra-vibrating bullet or that light beam, even a superior master could be killed. Moreover, the speed of the bullet was outstanding. It was difficult to even see with the naked eye. If a person who knows nothing uses this, things would get dangerous. The TP was trained, but by the standards of martial arts, their training wasn't enough. Chen Yuan was concerned about it. Still, since he killed them and got weapons from the future, he didn't think the results were bad. Nano does the analysis to prepare a contra. It was then. Beep. 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 The sound was coming from the weapon in Chen Yuan's hand. But not only that, the same sound could be heard from the dead TP officers too. And the sound kept getting faster and faster. Warning! Danger! Throw away the weapon now. He could feel heat releasing from the weapon. Swish! At Nano's warning, which echoed in his head, Chen Yuan threw the weapon into the sky. Bang! The moment he threw it, the weapon exploded. The other weapons around the dead too exploded, leaving behind ash. And then, someone screamed. Yuk! It was Chen Musong. As he was on the ground, he had to push the body of the dead captain, Mark, off him. At that moment, Mark's body was dyed in bright light. And the light soon turned into heat, as if something was burning. Whoop! So were the other bodies. Deliberate measures to erase traces? Chen Yuan began to release ice chi to prevent the body from burning. JJJKKK. Mark's body, which was burning up, soon turned into a block of ice. It seemed like the burning stopped. However, it wasn't just the skin that was burning. Mark's body was burning up from the inside. Even the ice was changing. His flesh transformed into a liquid and melted. It was a sight that made Chen Yuan frown. It was when Chen Musong said, "Hook, hook, ancestor." TP officers are supposed to be incinerated automatically if something went wrong during their time travel or died. Measures were taken so that traces of the future weren't left in the past. It was a natural course of action, but for Chen Yuan, it was a pity that they disappeared. "Ancestor." Chen Musong, who barely calmed down, spoke. "Ah, you are amazing. Not even my father, the lord of our time, would have been able to stop the ultra-vibrating bullet or beam." He couldn't forget the scene he saw. The bullets and beams weren't weapons that humans could deal with. They were weapons made to deal with those who had special abilities, but he never dreamed that the weapons could be stopped from such a close distance. To see such a difference. The 7th generation Nano machine was injected into Chen Yuan's body. However, in reality, Chen Yuan, who was conscious of the TP, didn't utilize the functions of the Nano machine. He had subdued them with his own strength. Is it possible to increase internal energy this much in just 5 years? It was amazing. Even Chen Mujin couldn't stop the bullets, despite spending his entire life mastering the martial arts. However, within only 5 years, Chen Yuan seemed to have gone beyond their imagination, to the point where the divine master level was considered ridiculous. I'm really curious. He wanted to ask, but he didn't want to provoke Chen Yuan. There was one thing he could guess. There was a record that the Blade God, who had reached the Heavenly Master level, could rupture the enemy with just a wave of his finger, as he used the Heart Blade. Then, my ancestor must have reached the Heavenly Master level too. Whoa! When he was convinced that Chen Yuan had reached the Heavenly Master level, a shiver ran down his spine. It was shocking that Chen Yuan was stronger than he expected. But he didn't have time to think. "Tak. Ancestor." Chen Musong knelt on one knee and bowed to show respect. "What more do you have to say? As you have just seen, if you travel through time without permission or try to change history, we get stopped by the TP." "You mean those guards?" He remembered that Chen Musong had called the TP guards. Seeing how they acted, Chen Yuan was sure that rather than a non-aggression pact, the martial artists were below these guards in the future. In the future, no single person or group can overthrow a nation. "You saw those weapons? They are being mass-produced in my time." It was understandable. If such a weapon was used by thousands or tens of thousands of people, there was no reason to feel threatened by martial artists. "Ancestor. Thank you for saving my life." Chen Musong bowed his head and continued talking. "But soon, they will send men with equipment that cannot be compared to those which you saw now." One had run away. Of course, even if that wasn't the case, the last time-space coordinates of the dead ones will be recorded in the headquarters. Clearly, they would send a tracking team. However, Chen Yuan wasn't bothered. "Do I look like I'm scared of them?" If an enemy targeted him, he would fight back. Of course, he knew that Chen Yuan wouldn't be afraid of him. "I don't know, but if the Great Gate, Chen Musong didn't continue. It seemed like he had gone too far. Since Chen Yuan was from the past, they wouldn't bother, but if they find Chen Musong, they would surely kill him. "What do you want to say?" "Ancestor. Once I leave, please move away from this place. After all, their goal is to catch me. They might search the area, but not extensively." Chen Musong guessed that the TP would come again. Since the one who escaped would give them the right coordinates, they will quickly come to pursue. But if he went back to his original time, they wouldn't find anything. Although the TP unit was annihilated, they would consider it unacceptable to create a new time axis. It's fortunate that this era doesn't have media or the web. If there were such things, they would search for Chen Youwen and erase his memory. Of course, if they discovered the existence of the 7th generation Nano machine, they would track down Chen Youwen at all costs. Tack. Chen Musong put his hands together and bowed again. It was truly an honor to meet my ancestor. And I sincerely apologize. Please know that even though I acted rudely, it was for the sake of the cult in the future. With those words, Chen Musong tried to take the time pack out of his waist bag. At that moment, Chen Youwen reached out for the bag. Weak. Ah. The only time pack got sucked into Chen Youwen's hands. Originally, there were 2 spares, but there was only one left now, and he needed that to go back to his time after the meeting with Chen Youwen. This is to go to the future? Chen Youwen asked, while looking at the small round device. He saw the TP use this. Yes, yes. Please handle that with care. I thought you were trying to get something from me, so why are you rushing back home already? They pursue that fast? Chen Musong had no choice but to answer the questions. Ancestor. I have an identity chip embedded into my body which the TP can track. If you stay with me, they will track you too. Something inside your body? Yes. I want to stay longer and tell you all about the future, ugh. Before he could finish the words, Chen Youwen approached him. Chen Musong's body went stiff at the energy Chen Youwen was releasing. Tat attack. Ugh. An ancestor this, stay still. Chen Youwen placed his palm on his head and commanded Nano. Nano, can you run a scan to find that identity chip in his body? Possible. I'll scan the body. Please move your palm in the direction shown in augmented reality. With those words, augmented reality unfolded. And the direction was marked with arrows. As Chen Youwen slowly moved his palm, the body of Chen Musong was being scanned, and it turned into a 3-dimensional image in Chen Youwen's sight. Are you trying to scan my body right now? Looking at the light coming from Chen Youwen's palm, Chen Musong knew what was being done. Ancestor, it seems like you are trying to find the identity chip in my body, but it flows through the blood vessels. Papak. Be quiet. Chen Youwen used his energy to cover his mouth. Before long, a red dot was marked on the right shoulder. There was something microscopic moving through the veins. 5th generation nano machine with an identity chip has been discovered. That's it. As it detects the scan, the chip is trying to move towards the heart. As Nano said, the red dot was trying to rapidly move from the shoulder to the heart. How do we get rid of it? It can be stopped with an EMP. So, you mean a strong electric shock? Chen Youwen pointed to the shoulder. Crackle. At the same time, a very fine invisible sword made out of thunder chi formed. It was very close to a fine needle. It was only possible for Chen Youwen, who had reached the heavenly master level, to handle chi so freely. Nano. Aim for it. Yes, activating the panel system for the invisible sword. Target lock on. Do. An arrow mark was directed towards the red dot, trying to lock on. The chip moved quickly, but eventually, Nano managed to lock on. At that moment, whoop! Crackle! Quack! Chen Musong let out a groan in pain. No matter how small the invisible sword was, it was a sword that held tremendous energy, and it pierced the blood vessels. It was natural that he felt pain. Nano's voice echoed in Chen Youwen's head. Identity chip removal was successful. Beep. Beep beep. The red dot disappeared from the scan. With a satisfied expression, Chen Youwen spoke. At the same time, Chun Musong yelled. An ancestor. If you try to stab the ID chip like that, it will get rid of M, removed. Huh? I removed the identity chip that was moving in your veins. At those words, Chun Musong was confused. The nano machine in his body wasn't as good as gadolinium, but it was made of the strongest metal on the planet, so it couldn't be stopped unless given an EMP wave or a strong electric shock. See this? Chen Yuan pointed to the air. Since it couldn't be seen by the naked eye, Chun Musong put on specs. And then he magnified them 1,000 times to the place Chen Yuan was showing. Oh my god! The ID chip was pierced and broken. Chun Musong was at a loss for words.